the world is growing tired of the dollar being the singular world reserve status when they mismanage it the way that they do. And, when you talk about the U.S., I was looking at their balance sheet the other day, 34.7% of our assets is the debt of our children, $1.58 trillion. So the world reserve currency has a liability of over $100 trillion, both on and off balance sheet, against an asset base of $4 trillion, of which a third of it is student debt. It's a precarious position we find ourselves in. And I think people need to think about that when they talk about being upset that gold and silver have come down. How about the fact that Social Security right now is 56 trillion underwater? And the geniuses at the Social Security Administration last year decreased their forecast on inflation, and expectations of 2.5% were put into place. Well, not only have half the number of workers been employed in the last year, but they decreased the inflation expectations. So, you're talking about an escalation of it running out of money. It was projected to run out of money in 2030. You have to be your own Social Security. You have to be your own annuity. You have to be your own central banker, because the steward of our currency, the people who are running things, are driving it into the ground, eviscerating the value. If people don't own gold and silver, they're making a mistake. And if they do own it and are looking to get rich, be careful what you wish for, because in that environment, it comes at the expense of the dollar, and everyone else that you love in this world, in this country, is going to suffer. And especially because the traditional forms of wealth, stocks, bonds, and real estate, are all now positively correlated at all-time values. Stocks and bonds used to be inverse. Now they're not. If interest rates rise, at some point they must, everything collapses. And so I think when you look at gold and silver, just know that the mathematics will bear out either a reset or a collapse, or both. And so you have metals to protect you from that. I don't think you own it to get rich. And when they fall, cost average. And I think, taken from someone who sells gold, it's probably not as easy to believe what I'm saying, but I've been doing it every 2 weeks for 31 years. And I believe in my soul that it is the road to protection in an environment where very few other assets are going to do the same thing for you. People may say cryptocurrencies. Take a look at the infrastructure bill. They're going after cryptocurrencies right now in an effort to tax the cryptocurrency exchanges. Not only that, in looking at the Biden tax bill, I've seen from my accountant that they want to start implementing Form 8300s for precious metals companies when they receive Bitcoin from the consumer. They're trying to close the door. They're trying to make all of the options or the alternatives to traditional assets and the dollar few and far between. And with the exception of cryptocurrencies and precious metals, where the heck else do you put it right now that isn't at all-time highs? Most of which unjustified all-time highs. And I am not telling you to do this to get rich, and I'm not telling you to do it to protect against the end of the world. I'm just simply telling you it's been the only thing since really the beginning of time that has retained its value and been universally accepted as wealth across the entire globe. It's interesting. If we look at right this moment, I would argue that it is the best environment to buy gold or silver we've seen in the past year. Not only in spot price, but also in premium. With the summer doldrums came a drive down in premiums, and I'm very happy to see that. But I will also say, and I'm not talking as a dealer here, I'm talking specifically, everything I've ever seen is that every time we see the price get to a point where it is counterintuitively cheap, the premiums skyrocket because everyone is bargain hunting, like the 600 emails I got last night. And everyone's bargain hunting. And like that, right now is by far the best entry point in 2021, not even close. One of the things that's happened in 2020 and 2021 is a massive expansion of the mainstream into precious metals. Now, we're still a far cry from this being considered mainstream, but there is a much bigger swath of customers. I looked at the numbers we just updated, and we got almost 8,000 new clients in 2020. That's a decade's worth of client acquisition. This is indicative of an awakening, a global awakening, and counterintuitive to what the price is telling you that gets clubbed like that. We didn't witness anyone selling an ounce. Nobody. In fact, our phones have rung off the hook. I got 600 plus emails last night. People are frantically looking to protect themselves. And I think that they realize that something isn't right. When this migrates deeper into the mainstream, I think you will see an all-out rush, stampede into precious metals in an environment where traditional assets have all become positively correlated to one another, stocks, bonds, and real estate, against interest rates. So ultimately, as interest rates rise, the traditional forms of wealth in this country, stocks, bonds, and real estate, get clubbed. And I think that this is a gift. It's a subsidy. The biggest money in the world has been on a buying spree for 4 years into metals, and they use these knockdowns not only as an incentive for them or a subsidy for them to get longer, but also to make everyone else say, oh gosh, look at gold. It's lost there's no reason to buy it. It's lost its correlation with inflation. And well, heck, the bond market's telling us inflation is transitory. They're blurring what is happening to keep people locked into traditional forms of investments and to not run away. This is the same game that we've seen for a long time. And it's frustrating. I understand that. But if I hadn't seen what I've seen over the last 4 years, where the biggest money in the world is making really a strong effort to de-dollarize and accumulate metals, I might be more concerned. But when you see the massive acquisition, the massive de-dollarization and removal of counterparty risk off the COMEX, the London Metals Exchange, the Bank of England, the New York Fed, all of these centers are delivering metal to the biggest money in the world. Price is not the issue. Look at the numbers, look at the economics, look at the fundamentals. They're screaming that it's never been more important than ever. And when you look at a Federal Reserve that is buying $150 billion a month of assets with a balance sheet that is approaching $9 trillion. In 2008, everyone thought they were crazy for spending what amounted to $90 billion a month in asset purchases on an $800 billion balance sheet. And now we're being told things are getting better, and their balance sheet has grown 10 times, and they are buying $150 billion a month instead of 90. You know, it's a sucker's game. Even using their numbers, it's a 4% loss compounding over 10 years per year, every year, 4% loss per year on a 10-year treasury. The point is, and they use that as evidence that inflation is transitory and the bond market doesn't see it as a problem. They've gotten into a cycle of having to inflate or default. It's inflate or die, as Richard Russell always used to say. So they're pulling out all the stops to keep everyone from seeing the reality of it. And so when you look at it as wealth in an environment where everything else is positively correlated to one another and inversely correlated to interest rates, there are very few places to safely go any longer.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.